Year-old with the observational skills of a seasoned private investigator and the sarcasm of a late-night talk show host, sat at the kitchen island. He was systematically dismantling a pile of pancakes while listening to the rhythmic thumping coming from upstairs. I didn't want to hear it, Leo muttered to his cereal, but my ears are a treasonous organ. They seek out the bass. His grandmother, Mama G, a woman who possessed a collection of church hats that could be seen from space, and a wit sharper than a straight razor, leaned against the counter. She was sipping coffee that looked thick enough to patch a tire. You shouldn't have been listening, boy, Mama G said, though her own head was tilted slightly toward the ceiling. But I know the signs. When they come down smiling and humming those Larry White tunes, the storm has passed. Who's Larry White? Leo asked, squinting. You know, Mama G replied, her voice dropping an octave into a gravelly romantic rumble. That old, smooth dude with the voice that sounds like velvet dipped in bourbon. I love you, baby. I love you, baby. Baby. You mean Barry White, Nana? Leo sighed. Larry, Barry, whatever. When that low-frequency love starts vibrating the floorboards, you know your daddy has been putting in overtime on the apology tour. The stairs creaked a warning sign. Dante Sterling descended first. Dante was a man of athletic build and even more athletic ego, a local sports anchor whose on-air personality rarely turned off. Today, however, he looked like a man who had just negotiated a peace treaty in a war zone he had personally started. Morning, champ, Dante said, ruffling Leo's hair with a forced cheerfulness. Ready for the big math test? Sure, Dad. As long as I don't fall asleep because of the acoustic disturbances, Leo replied pointedly. Where's Mom? She's coming down. Slept late. Dante grabbed a piece of bacon. Slept late? That's a strategic win, Mama G chimed in. Means y'all are at least sharing the same zip code in that bed. Did she forgive you for that mystery woman business? Dante's smile faltered. It's a work in progress, Mama G. Look, Dad, Leo said, leaning in. When the Teddy Pendergrass starts playing at 2 a.m., I know the vibe. But then Mom comes down all hing giggling, and it's like nothing happened. Just make it up already. These walls are thinner than your excuses. Leo, finish your breakfast, Dante warned. But the bus honked, saving him from a lecture on marital intimacy from a middle schooler. As Leo sprinted out, Serafina Sterling appeared. She was the queen of the Gilded Comb, the town's most prestigious and gossip-heavy salon. She looked radiant, but there was a sharp, calculative glint in her eyes that suggested the piece was merely a tactical pause. Good morning, Dante, she said, her voice dripping with a sweetness that felt like a trap. I've been thinking all night. That explains the smoke I smelled. Dante joked, then immediately regretted it when her expression flattened. What did you decide, babe? How? Nah, amore. I've decided to trust you, Serafina said, stepping close to him. I believe you didn't sleep with that Bianca Thorne woman. I'm letting it go. Dante exhaled a breath he seemed to have been holding since the previous Tuesday. Thank you, Serafina. You have no idea what that means to me. If I didn't have to go to this studio, I'd take you back upstairs and soundproof the room for a 3-round celebration. I trust you, she whispered, kissing him. Chapter 2. The Ghost of Rocco's Abs. The Gilded Comb was buzzing. Not from the hairdryers, but from the arrival of the new contractors. Serafina stood in the center of the construction zone, looking over blueprints for the salon's expansion. Her best friend and lead stylist, Jade, was currently mesmerized by a man holding a sledgehammer. The man was Rocco, a contractor whose muscles had muscles and whose smile was a registered weapon in 48 states. Serafina, Jade whispered, I know you're a happily married woman, but if you don't hire this man, I will quit and start a rival salon in his tool belt. Serafina looked at Rocco and felt a jolt of recognition that turned her stomach into a knot of ancient anxiety. Rocco? From college? Rocco turned, wiping sweat from his brow. You two know each other? Lulu, the salon's high-strung manager, asked, her eyes darting between them. We had a brief encounter. 14 years ago, Rocco said, his voice a low hum. One night. Very memorable. 14 years ago. We said that 14 years ago. Serafina's face went pale. I don't remember you. At all. Lulu, is the bid within budget? Rocco grinned, knowing full well she was lying. I'll keep it professional, Serafina. But I've got a long memory. As Rocco walked away, Jade grabbed Serafina's arm. You had a one-night stand with that? And you didn't tell me? We've been friends since the invention of the flat iron. It was college, Jade. I was wild. I was in a finding myself phase, Serafina hissed. And Dante can never, ever know. He's already under fire for the Bianca Ton situation. If he finds out my ex-flame is literally tearing down the walls of my business, he'll lose his mind. Speaking of Bianca Ton, Jade said, shifting gears. Did you really let that go? Serafina pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. Of course not. I'm Serafina Sterling. I got her address from a source. I'm going over there this afternoon. I need to see the truth with my own eyes. Chapter 3. The Investigation and the Intervention. While Serafina was plotting her clandestine visit to Bianca Thorne's house, Dante was at the Skyline Sports Studio, trying to maintain his professional dignity. His co-anchor, Xavier, was currently engaged in a nauseating display of public affection with his girlfriend, Kiki. Kiki was at the studio every day, bringing lunch, which usually consisted of expensive salads she fed to Xavier like he was a prize-winning pony. You guys are great, Dante lied, watching Kiki stroke Xavier's jaw. Jealousy is a green-eyed monster, Dante, Xavier joked. So, did Serafina buy the story? Are you off the hook? She says she trusts me, Dante said. No more drama. Just then, Toby, the studio's perpetually confused intern, ran in with an envelope. Dante, this just got dropped off. It's from a Bianca Thorne. Dante's heart skipped. He opened the letter. Xavier and Kiki, leaning in so close, they were practically in his armpits. Dear Dante, the letter read, I am so sorry for the trouble I caused. Your wife came to see me this morning. I told her the truth. We never met. I don't have a kid. And I was paid to lie by a former friend. She knows everything now. Dante stared at the letter. Relief washed over him, followed quickly by a surge of annoyance. She went to her house? After she told me to my face she trusted me? Trust but verify, bro. Xavier laughed. At least you're cleared. Yeah, Dante muttered. But now I have to make a point. She lied to me about believing me. Chapter 4. The DNA Dilemma. Back at the salon, the tension was thick enough to require a permit. Rocco was installing a load-bearing column, but every time he moved, he and Serafina's son, Leo, seemed to mirror each other. Leo had come to the salon after being sent home from school with a mysterious cough. He was sitting on a styling chair, watching Rocco work. Hey, kid, Rocco said. You look like you're having trouble breathing. You got asthma? Sometimes, Leo croaked. And poor circulation in my left leg. No way, Rocco said, pausing. Serafina overheard this from across the room and felt the world tilt. She looked at Rocco's face, then at Leo's. Then she saw a photo Rocco had left on the counter, a picture of his mother. The woman in the photo looked exactly like Leo. Jade, Serafina whispered, her voice trembling. Look at the photo. Look at Leo. Look at Rocco's left leg. Jade's eyes went wide. Oh, honey. No, that's not a coincidence. That's a genetics textbook. I was drunk that night in college. Serafina panicked. Dante was my boyfriend, but we were on a break. A very short, 48-hour break. What if Leo, isn't Dante's? You need to know for sure, Jade said, reaching into her oversized designer purse and pulling out a handful of sterile swabs. Why do you have DNA swabs in your purse, Jade? I was thinking about suing my ex for child support, but then I realized I didn't want his personality in my house, Jade replied nonchalantly. Take these. Swab Rocco, Swab